Good morning, my people. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the Sleewa Show. We got a packed show today. Very, very packed show. And it's like I, haven't done a show in like 45 minutes. So, yeah, it's a long time no talk. It's not like we were just all together about an hour and a half ago or anything like that. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for being a part of the Sleeper Show. So I appreciate everybody that's here. We got a lot to do today. A lot to do today. Got a good quote this morning. By the way, let me get some quotes for some people today. Somebody dropped me some knowledge on a Friday. Let me know if you got a quote out there that helps everybody else. Let me know what you got. All right, here's what I got. The true test of character is not how much we know how to do, but how do we behave when we don't know what to do? I like that. True test of a character is not how much we know how to do, but how we behave when we don't know what to do. There you go. Always being open to learning something new. All right, if you got some quotes out there for me, lob them in here. Get them into the chat. Lot to get into in this morning show. I got a lot of stuff that I want to talk about. A lot of kind of on the court and then a lot of off the court. There's a lot of stuff going on yesterday with all the other networks and everybody complaining about each other. I just kind of sat there. I'm like, oh no, this is good content. Yeah, no, we can go ahead and take more of this. I'll be happy to read some more, or I'll be happy to get into some of this stuff. All right, quick rundown of the show. Let me give everyone just a quick idea of what we got going on today. Obviously, talk about that Lakers-Knicks recap from last night. Overtime win for the Lakers. They've now won 8 games in a row. They've won 20 of 24. They're 12-0 versus their last, I think 12-0 versus teams over 500. They have a 12-game winning streak against teams over 500. So just really impressive. We'll spend some time talking about last night's game and just stylistically how the Lakers just keep finding a different way of winning. So we'll do that. I didn't see this actually until this morning, and I'm sure it was probably going on last night. I just didn't see it. LeBron's exchange with Stephen A. All right. I didn't see that coming, but I want to actually talk about it. If the actual lip reading was correct, and this was more based off of, I guess, don't talk about Bronny is what LeBron was mentioning to Stephen A. Okay, we'll get into it. I got some thoughts on that as well. All right, let's get another, or let's get kind of keep going of what we're previewing here. Barkley absolutely goes off on ESPN, goes off on Kendrick. Perkins goes off on ESPN. I think there's some points that he makes are very valid, and then I think there's some other points that he makes that I don't think really pertain, I guess is the best way that I can put it. So we'll get into that. I just want to, I got one clip that I want to play because I think it kind of ties me back to JJ Redick. Patrick Beverley was talking about Darvin Ham and how basically nobody was really feeling his rah-rah speeches. I know a lot of people for a while were talking about Darvin Ham, and then of course we know what JJ Redick has done so far this year. Spend a little bit of time on that. Lakers Celtics expectations for tomorrow, and then I got a weekend preview, and then we're going to call it a day. All right, so a lot going on. Kind of trying to pack in a lot in about an hour. I do gotta today. I'm pretty much out. Right after 9 o'clock, I'll be out. But we got a lot that we'll fit into the show, and I'll try to get to as many comments as I can and everything else. Okay, real quick, please subscribe to the channel. Closing in on 31K. If you can subscribe to the channel, we'll greatly appreciate that. All right, let's see if anybody chimed in with any quotes here. If they didn't, then that's it. The show's over. Interesting. If you feed the beast of bitterness, it will soon consume you as well. I like that. That's really good. That's really, really good right there. Got a couple people saying good morning, everybody. Good morning to the chat. All right. People piling in. If you make them laugh, you can make them listen. Phenomenal. 2 really, really good quotes there. Existence precedes essence. Phenomenal again. All right, 3 people that threw in those quotes. I appreciate it. Those are great. Those are really, really good. Everybody else that didn't have a quote, you know what? Here's what I want you guys to do. I want you guys to log off of YouTube right now or Instagram or wherever you are. Get off of the show and go restart your day. Okay? I need more out of each and every one of you. All right, I appreciate it. All right, let's get the show started. I appreciate you guys being a part of the show, and let's get things started. Let's start on Lakers and the Knicks from last night. I said this in the post game show, and if you guys were around for the post game show, I appreciate it. But either way, we'll recap some stuff here. Last night to me was not about just the Lakers beating the Knicks. Last night to me was stylistically, Lakers found another way to get a W. And I'm not telling you it's perfect every time. And I'm not telling you that, they don't have some games where there's some head scratchers in the mix or, man, why are they having trouble against this team or difficulty against this team? I'm not telling you that that's not happening. Of course it happens. It happens for every team. But guys, last night was just adding to the resume of how Lakers can beat you. They can play with a lead. They could play from behind. They can blow you out of a game. They can feel like they're struggling for 3 quarters and then wake up in the 4th quarter and have other guys step up and find a way to win. Lakers didn't play well either. I mean, if you really, really look at, by the time the dust settled and you look at the way the Lakers played and you see that every starter struggled from the 3-point line. LeBron wasn't good from 3. Austin Reeves definitely wasn't good from 3. Luka struggled from the 3-point line. Dorian Finney-Smith wasn't good from 3. Some of the main players, like I said, weren't all that effective. Luka, I didn't think shot effectively. In the first quarter, he was great. After that, Knicks made their adjustments and did what they tried to do to make other guys score. Austin Reeves clearly is going to need a couple of games before he comes back to being Austin Reeves. But when the dust settled last night, Lakers won again. And they just keep finding ways to win. I think it's easy to kind of look at last night's game and try to point out specifics. I kind of take a little bit more of a 30,000 view on this one. Good teams just find ways to win. And the Lakers, it seems like over the last month and a half, 2 months, just find ways to win. Do you know they now have the 4th best record in the NBA? Do you guys remember there was a time where they were 5th, 6th, 7th? I know when they traded for Luka, they were 7th in the West. Now, granted, I know there's some antics in that. You got to look at the details there. So many teams kind of clump together. But I remember vividly where the Lakers were 4 or 5 games behind the Houston Rockets and the Memphis Grizzlies. And you're like, they're not catching them. Well, now not only did they catch them, in some cases, they have a 4-game cushion in the loss column against those teams. Good teams just find ways to win. Wasn't that last night for the Lakers? Did they not just find a way to beat the New York Knicks? Because I could look at a lot of areas of the Lakers game, and I love what Luka said post-game. Luka post-game basically just said was like, and he said it in a positive way. They didn't play their best game. They weren't all that great. Still beat a pretty good team in the Knicks. And if you want to make an argument out there, and I'm okay. I'm happy to listen to that argument that could they have easily lost that game last night? Sure they have. Sure they could. Could they have easily, if Jalen Brunson doesn't turn his ankle and leave the game tied at, I want to say maybe it was 109 or something along those lines, whatever the score was. Maybe I'm wrong on the score there. But whatever the score was, could they have lost that game if Jalen Brunson stayed in the whole time? Sure. They probably could have. But that was a back and forth battle. And the moment Jalen Brunson left the game, it was like, yeah, this game's over. Lakers are going to take over, and they did. I don't, sometimes I don't need to see all the details of how the Lakers won a game or how the Lakers lost a game. I look at, well, how are they playing? When things aren't going their way, are they still finding a way to fight? Are they still finding a way to to kind of scratch and claw. I saw a lot of the post-game show yesterday. A lot of people were pointing it was a gritty win. Gritty, I think, is the word that I saw the most. I saw that the win was gritty, and the Lakers had to muddy the water and get the win. So they can blow you out. They can play beautiful basketball. They can grind out a game, and then they could also play ugly. They can win many different ways. I don't think it matters how they're winning right now. I think I think stylistically and the type of opponents they're beating should be good enough for everybody to kind of just sit back and say, yeah, this is pretty damn impressive. I asked a question during the post-game show yesterday, and if, other people saw it differently, that's fine. You should give yourself a lot of credit. I didn't see it this way. When the Lakers made the trade, when the Lakers made the trade yesterday, I'm sorry, when the Lakers made the trade for Luka, whatever that was, 5 weeks ago or so, I think everybody kind of had their opinion of what they thought about the Lakers. However, I'll tell you exactly what I thought. What I thought was it's not going to be this year. What I thought was the roster is just they got too many holes in the roster. It's just not going to happen. It can't happen this year. That's what I thought. And I genuinely believe that. I just believe that Lakers were obviously making a trade for the future. It was kind of cool yesterday. I asked the question. I'm like, did anybody see this? And I'd say 8 out of 10 people, 9 out of 10 people, we're all honest. They're like, absolutely not. But the Lakers continue to find ways to win. And like I said, that to me is probably the most impressive part. It's a lot of this is how they're winning. It's not perfect basketball. They're winning different ways, and Lakers found a way to do it last night as well. So just another win for the Lakers and kind of add to that resume. It's kind of crazy. Even if you start looking at where the Boston Celtics are, which the Lakers got the Celtics tomorrow, if the Lakers were to beat Boston tomorrow, I think they'd be 2 games back of the loss column from Boston. Not that that matters. I guess it could potentially matter if you face them in the NBA Finals, but just crazy the type of jump that the Lakers have had in such a short amount of time. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here, and then we got a lot of other stuff that we want to get into as well. Let's see what we got here. LeBron going to put Boston in his place again. LeBron going to put Boston in its place. We'll see. We'll see. I think tomorrow is going to be a really, really tough game. It's going to be a tough game. Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? It's at Boston. Everybody's going to be up for that game. A little bit later in the show, I'm going to I'll preview a little bit more of that game. But, the storylines in that game, too, it's also Luka faced the Celtics in the finals last year against Dallas. So there's some history here between LeBron and the Celtics, between Luka and the Celtics, and, of course, the Lakers and the Celtics. Got to like that. Ronan, Slee, respectfully, you should have known better. You've been covering hoops too long. Okay, so I'm supposed to know they're supposed to win 20 at 24 games. Come on, that roster. I don't think it has anything to know how long you've been watching the game or anything like that. You need complete rosters to compete for an NBA championship. It's the reason why the Lakers tried to trade for Mark Williams and probably overpaid because there was this panic of, well, how the hell are we going to compete this year unless we go out there and we get some real players? And I'm talking about specific players that fit a role and fit a need. No. I'm completely okay with telling everybody that, yeah, I didn't think the Lakers were going to have all that much success once they traded for Luka this year. Everybody knew what the meaning of the trade was. The trade wasn't for today. The trade was for tomorrow. The trade was for the next 5, 7, 10 years. But they've been phenomenal. And by the way, Ronan, if you're somebody out there that thought, oh, this is going to click right away, then kudos to you. But I'm not going to pretend like I thought they were just going to start clicking. Let's get another one in here. I love JJ's talk to the team. Positive and committed to process regardless of outcome. That's high-level coaching. Now, if they would let me help with their three-point shooting. Yeah, but think about that here for a quick second. They struggled from the 3 and still beat the Knicks. They were that bad from the 3, still walked away with a W. Sometimes that's as impressive as anything else. Okay, let's take a look at a couple more here. A lot of people getting ready. With AD, yes, never with D'Lo. Never with D'Lo. D'Lo just wasn't my style of a player. I just wasn't a fan of D'Lo. Was I a fan of Anthony Davis? No question about it. Of course, I was a fan of Anthony Davis. Why wouldn't you be a fan of Anthony Davis? Especially last year when he actually played 76 games. All right, let's get another one in here. I was at the game sitting next to Byron Scott, told him we needed him in there in the third. They needed to hit some threes. You're right. They definitely needed that. Okay, let's take a look at let's take a look at a few of kind of an exchange yesterday, if you want to call it. So I want to. There's some stuff that happened before the game yesterday that I thought was wildly entertaining, that I thought was interesting. So we're going to get into that as well. This one I didn't see until the morning. I mentioned I didn't see until this morning. So something to keep in mind on that one. But let me find this real quick. Okay. And then I'm going to find what somebody was saying they thought it was reading. So yesterday before the game, Stephen A is sitting courtside. All right. Make sure that I can share this here properly. Stephen A is sitting courtside. And while Stephen A is sitting courtside, a LeBron James comes up to him to just one of the greatest players of all time. Decides, I'm going to go talk to Stephen A. Okay, what's he got to say to Stephen A? Maybe he's going to go up to Stephen A. Smith and he's just going to simply say, hey, congratulations on your new $100 million deal, if I'm right. I think that's the deal that that Stephen A. just signed with ESPN, something along those lines. I saw something like that yesterday. It was being reported. Okay, take a look at this exchange here real quick. Watch it again. All right, this is the only thing that matters with the exchange. Clearly, LeBron's not happy. Okay? Clearly, LeBron's not happy. Clearly, LeBron's got something to say to Stephen A. Smith. Clearly, that's not a, hey, thanks for coming. I appreciate you being here. All that stuff. That was not the exchange that was definitely not the exchange that most people were thinking was, might happen or something along those lines. So, okay, what'd he say? What most people are saying he said that read his mouth here. And I think it was something along those lines. Keep my son's name out your mouth. He's obviously talking about Bronny James. Okay. There were some times, a couple different times so far during this season where I'm going to stop sharing. No need to keep sharing there. There were a couple times this season that Stephen A. Smith has gone pretty hard to the hoop when it comes to talking about Bronny James. All right. Does LeBron have a point here? Is Stephen A. Smith not supposed to give his opinion about what he thinks of Bronny James, what he thinks about, the situation that the Lakers so far this year, it actually has not been too much of a distraction, but drafting him and everything else. I know there was a point. I got to find this here. I thought I had the right one here. I don't feel like I have the right link that I wanted to share with everybody. Can I say this real quick? And look, if LeBron wants to go up to Stephen A. Smith and have a conversation about him, about saying something about his son or something along those lines, and disagrees with this, disagrees with that, that's fine. Can I just say this? Bronny's fair game. He's an NBA player. Like, I mean, what did LeBron think was going to happen when his son got drafted by the Lakers as a second round pick? Like, I don't know if I have an issue with any of this, to be honest with you. I mean, if Stephen A. Smith is saying something personal and making it personal, I know he had some comments, specifically talking about how trying to think which game that it was coming off of. But he was saying something along the lines of like, please, please, stop this. You got to stop this. And it was whatever he was referring to. Bron obviously clearly looked at the situation. He got his son paid $8 million. He was drafted by the Lakers, and LeBron's gonna, use his power where he can. And kind of interestingly enough, Bronny has become a little bit of an interesting story towards the end of games. All right, hey, as long as the Lakers are winning, it's less of a storyline. Now, if the Lakers were losing or if he was playing big time minutes, you guys remember there was a game, I think against Philly, Lakers lost, and he had played early and he played too many minutes. And it was like, what are we doing here? Why is JJ Redick putting this guy in the game right here? But my honest opinion here on Stephen A. Smith and anybody being critical about Bronny James, it's fair game. The guy's in the league. He's in the NBA. That's just going to come with the territory. And as long as you're not doing something that is personal, as long as you're not taking shots at somebody, it's a, hey, I don't like this person, so I'm just going to stay on him the entire time. And I don't care whether my points are relevant or not. I don't care if I have any factual information behind it. If it's something along those lines, then okay, that's a different story. And I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that I've listened to everything Stephen A. Smith has said about Bronny, but my view is kind of simple on this. If you're in the league and you're in the NBA, I don't care whose son you are. I don't care that your dad's LeBron James or any of that stuff. That's going to come with the territory. And I think of all people, I would assume LeBron already knows that and understands that simply because that's kind of how Bron has been in this league. Bron has been scrutinized everywhere he's looked. Bron, even up until last night's postgame show, I'm still reading comments of people saying, yeah, well, Bron isn't the greatest, or he didn't do this, or he didn't do that. Like just conversations that are random of just people wanting to hate on Bron. Of course, that's going to that there's going to be some of that towards Bronny. So that was one of the things that I noticed right away when I saw that interaction. I'm like, well, what did he expect was going to happen at any stage of Bronny's career? No, that's probably going to be part of the territory. All right, let's look at some of the comments. I'm actually curious if most people would agree with LeBron here or if they would agree with Stephen A. Smith. Let's take a quick look here. Oh, these are the best. Just watch the clip of Stephen A. punching the heavy bag if you need a good laugh. What was he doing, by the way? What was he was he doing? How did that video get out of Stephen A. Punching that bag? How's that possible? How is that possible? Okay, let's get another one here from Eric. Yeah, but why did Stephen A. single out Bronny? Why didn't he say that any other second round picks don't belong in the league? I'll tell you why. By the way, I think the best point that anybody can make with any of this stuff is nepotism. That's all over the place. Go look at how many head coaches in the NBA have a last name of whatever you want to look like, whatever that last name is, or front office executives out there that are in there because of their family. So I'm not telling you that it doesn't happen every time. It happens in every business. It happens in every job. It happens in every industry. That's happening. Nobody's saying that it's not happening. But I think the only difference in this one is, okay, well, it's the greatest player that's ever played the game, one of the greatest players to ever play the game. His son obviously gets drafted by the Lakers at number 55. Clearly, Bronny was not ready to be drafted at number 55. Okay, that's fine. You guys want to say it's a late second round pick. We've already kind of dissected all that. That's okay. That's not a problem. I don't think that's that big of a deal anymore. And whether it was a storyline before, it's clearly not a storyline now. Lakers are winning. Who the hell really cares? It's not like Bronny's stealing minutes away from Dorian Finney-Smith or something along those lines where you're like, this is bananas. This makes no sense at all. My only point is that you're right, Eric, that there's a lot of people not talking about second rounders, and they're not talking about second rounders because it's not LeBron's son. Like that, I guess my point is that's going to come with the territory. It's going to come with the territory. LeBron shouldn't be surprised or shocked that that's coming with the territory. He shouldn't. And LeBron especially, because people have been critical about LeBron since he was in high school. And what has Bron kind of done the entire time? Shut him up and prove him wrong. All right, let's get another one here. All right, Chris says he's with Bron on this one. Ruben, okay. He took a shot at Bron and his fatherly decisions. That's a fair criticism right there. Ruben, that's a good point. It's a good point. That actually is. That is less to do with, hey, Bronny just isn't playing good enough, right? That has less to do with that. That is more how you are fathering your child. I'm not a fan of that part. You're okay. You're okay on that one. I wouldn't agree. I wouldn't disagree with you on that. Let me find, because I know there was a quote here. This is the quote, January 29th, on First Take. I am pleading with LeBron James as a father. Stop this, stop this. We all know that Bronny James is in the NBA because of his dad. Maybe that's the quote that he got upset with. Yeah, that's the thing that I was trying to find a little bit earlier. It's got to a point where this LeBron sensitivity is just beyond the pale. This is in reaction to James' teams reaching out to him about his son on February 1st. Smith added that Clutch reached out to him, pissed him off. Yeah, I'll tell you this. For LeBron's sake, or for Stephen A's sake, at the end of the day, what he's looking for more than anything else are people talking about him, and people are. So this is another one. So yeah, I thought that was an interesting. I thought that was an interesting exchange. 100 on Stephen A on this one, and you guys can tell. A lot of people have their own opinion on this. A lot of people have their own opinion on this. A lot of people have their own thoughts on this. Some people are going to side with LeBron. I think if I even highlight some of the few ones that I mentioned right here, some of them are in favor of LeBron. Some of them are in favor of Stephen A. Smith. And by the way, that's why that's why something like this is interesting. It's interesting for the reasons that I'm talking about, because there are going to be people that kind of fall on both sides. Here's another one. Stephen A. didn't lie. Bronny did absolutely nothing in college. Okay. He said Clutch reached out, pissed him off, but today said Bron should have reached out instead of confronting him. It really is a disservice to basketball the way ESPN and TNT talking heads discuss the game. It hurts the sport. We'll get into that in a second as well. There's more to it on that. I appreciate all the comments here. This is good. This is good because I think it gives perspectives from all different angles. Let me get a couple of these supers in here. Tizzy, thank you for the super, brother. I appreciate you. Using Bronny to criticize LeBron is not cool, any way you put it. I would check him too. Stephen A needs to learn how to leave it at basketball. Like I said from the beginning, if something's personal, then I'm okay with that. If you're taking it away from the criticism of on the floor or criticism of any of that stuff, I mean, hell, you could criticize the Lakers front office as much as criticizing LeBron and say, well, the Lakers, they're the ones that drafted him. They didn't have to draft him at number 55. Maybe they did. Bron obviously is flexing his power, but making it personal, I agree with. You never want to make it personal. And I guess you could say that quote when he's calling out, pleading for LeBron, to stop this and that, whatever the case is. Obviously, maybe there's a little bit of personal there. Maybe Bron just doesn't like Stephen A. Smith. I don't have an answer for you. John Wayne, LeBron invited criticism of Bronny when he tweeted that he was better than half the players in the league. Truthfully, what other person would be drafted averaging 3 points? And listen, the health issue, everybody feels obviously very bad about that. That was part of the argument too, was like, hey, maybe he goes back to USC and gets a full season under his belt before he gets into the league. But He didn't need to. And that's the bottom line. He didn't need to. John, I appreciate the comment. I appreciate you reaching out. It took advantage of, obviously a predicament that LeBron had control over and was able to get his son in the league. Let's get another one in here. Stephen A. Smith has always critiqued LeBron on his shows. That's fine, but don't use Bronny to check that box. Maybe that's how Bron viewed the critique. I think at the end of the day, and we won't spend too much more time on this topic, I just thought, look, those are two power players in sports, period. Everywhere you look, Stephen A. Smith is there. Now you're seeing Stephen A. Smith on all these political platforms as well. Stephen A. is everywhere. And then you don't get any bigger than LeBron. And there's LeBron checking Stephen A. before the game, sitting courtside. Yeah, you don't see that every day. You don't see that every day. And I saw somebody say, and I didn't watch First Take today, but I saw somebody else say something on there that I think Stephen A. wanted LeBron to reach out, not his people to reach out. All right, semantics there. If the two wanted to pick up the phone and call each other, they would. Mitch Potter, that's not what Stephen A. did, Slee. What he criticized LeBron as a father for allowing the Bronny situation to happen. Well, look, here's the good news with the situation. I don't think it's been that much of a storyline. If you told me what are the storylines this year around the Lakers, how far down the list would Bronny be? The storyline would be J.J. Redick. It's Lakers trading for Luka, Lakers defense, Dorian Finney-Smith, D'Angelo Russell off the team, LeBron doing what he's doing at age 40, Austin Reeves looking like a phenomenal player even as a third star, Lakers in the NBA standings, Lakers beating Denver finally. There's a lot of storylines before you get to Bronny. The good news is it was never really a distraction this year. So, and that's what I would have had a big problem with. I would have had a big problem with if this was a distraction all season. If the Lakers were losing and they're still throwing Bronny and the crowd's chanting Bronny and Lakers, they got nothing to, they're not playing for anything. That's where it would have been a problem. Mitch, thank you for the super. Savons, thank you for the super. Tizzy, thank you for the super. John Wayne, thank you for the super. I appreciate all you guys with these supers here. Critiquing LeBron's parroting is very personal. Yeah, I think there's certain things you're walking a fine line, but I also think when they drafted Bronny, some things were going to be fair game. Some things were going to be fair game. Sean Sanders, call me a bad father. We're going to have problems too. Fair enough. Fair enough. And that's what everybody says. Anybody that has a kid, I have not been blessed yet with a kid, but anyone who says they have a kid, it's like everything is gloves are off the moment you start talking about the kids. So I get it from that perspective. I appreciate all the supers, guys. Thank you very much. All right, let's see if I get another one or two comments here, and then we're gonna keep things moving on. All right, Stephen A. Smith and Barkley are professional Laker haters. Okay. Let's kind of transition here. Did you guys hear Barkley's rant yesterday? Barkley going off on ESPN, going off on Kendrick Perkins, going off on everybody. It's kind of funny. I don't know. I know Charles Barkley is a little bit all over the place. But I don't mind Barkley. I know some people hate him, and I know there's a lot of Laker fans that hate him as well. I think there's times where I feel like, no, he's telling the truth, and I respect his opinion. There's other times where I'm like, I don't know what Chuck's talking about. Let me play this for you guys here, because this was a lot of stuff going on before Lakers Knicks yesterday. You had the Stephen A. thing that I was just talking about, and now you have Charles Barkley going off on ESPN and Kendrick Perkins like I talked about. Let me play this. As we play, I'm going to pause it. I think it's pretty funny and entertaining at the same time, but let's take a quick listen. Here's Barkley going off on the Lakers, going off on ESPN, going off on Kendrick Perkins. Take a listen.
I saw a fool idiot on TV talking about the Lakers save the NBA.
Save the NBA?
Yeah. He's an idiot and a fool, but he know who he is. What's his name, Shaq?
Which one you talking about?
Kendrick Perkins. Oh, he said the Lakers. First of all, the Lakers have had a great 2 weeks.
Pause it right there. I think one thing that hurts Barkley's arguments is Barkley needs to just, and I know he's going to try to say this and everything else. They have not had a good 2 weeks. They've won 20 of their last 24 games. Guys, you only play 82 games a year. Over 30% of the season is what we're talking about as far as the sample size goes. They're number 2 in the Western Conference. They've beat a lot of really, really good teams in the process. Barkley can say, guys, I'm still not sold on the Lakers. I think there's going to be problems with size. I think that, eventually teams are going to figure them out. There's better teams in the Western Conference. He can make that argument and say that this has been a phenomenal run. But you can't disparage the run that the Lakers have been on. You don't win 20 or 24 games and you're not a good team in the league. It just doesn't happen. And oh, by the way, they got Luka and LeBron. There's other reasons why the Lakers are winning. But you got 2 bona fide superstars that are on your team. So there's a good chance that this is not a really good month and a half. Let me look at this here real quick, because he said that they've had a good 2 weeks. And listen, this is the part that kind of gets a little frustrating with Charles Barkley, because Barkley, he's going to make some points that I agree with, but he also makes points that I really disagree with. Let me look at the schedule here of when basically the Lakers started this incredible run. Okay. They had a game right after the fires, and it was January 15th against Miami. From there, they beat Miami, Brooklyn, lost to the Clippers, beat Washington, Boston, Golden State, Charlotte, lost to Philly, beat Washington, New York, Clippers, Golden State, Indiana, Utah, lost to Utah and Charlotte, beat Portland, Denver, Dallas, Minnesota, Clippers, New Orleans, and New York. Guys, that's not 2 weeks. Do you know when I started that date? The date I started was January 15th. That's 7 straight weeks of really good basketball from the Lakers. And a lot of perspectives of, they didn't have many of their main players. They made a trade in between. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I think I'm more impressed by the Lakers than anything else. But Barkley, right out the gate, is hurting his argument just because of that. Let's keep going on Barkley. Let's take a listen. All right, let's take a listen.
Said the Lakers saved the NBA season. That's because them fools on the other network, which we're going to be working for next year, that's all they talk about. Let me tell y'all something.
Tell me something.
And first of all, I want all the smoke. I don't whistle when I walk by the graveyard or anything like that.
I don't whistle when I walk by the graveyard.
Right.
I like that.
Hey, man,
I'm stealing that one.
The Lakers are doing great. Got a long way to go. But the reason the season's been going great for the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Y'all just want to talk about the Warriors and the Lakers. They're both doing great. Don't get me wrong. If I turn out to be wrong, I got no problem with that. But y'all are idiots because y'all talk about the Lakers and the Warriors all the time. Y'all don't. The Cleveland Cavaliers have won 12 straight games.
Stop right there for a quick second. Okay. This is one of the problems the NBA has. One of the problems that the NBA has is there's only one sport that I could think of off the top of my head where it doesn't matter the franchise, it doesn't matter the market, it's still going to get clicks and people are still going to be interested in it. That's the NFL. The NFL, you could have the Kansas City Chiefs or the Buffalo Bills or, you pick the market, and it doesn't have to be a top-notch market, and people are still going to watch the games. The Cincinnati Bengals, the Baltimore Ravens, the Pittsburgh Steelers. You can go through the NFL. There's very, very, very few leagues that don't have to depend on the top markets or the top franchises. The NBA is not one of them. NBA has to depend on their top markets and their top franchises. That's just the reality of the NBA. Now, maybe if you want to make the argument, hey, listen, if ESPN spent more time covering teams like the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Oklahoma City Thunder, maybe that would change. Clearly, they're not going to do that. So I don't mind making a criticism. I think there's a lot of times. Let me be point blank with everybody. Let me use First Take as an example. Where Stephen A. Smith is and where Kendrick Perkins is. I don't watch First Take. It's not for me. I don't know what to tell you. It's not for me. Maybe if they were a little bit more creative on the topics like Barkley's talking about, or they continue to just kind of repeat the same thing over and over again, or they're having the GOAT conversation. Barkley goes into a rant there where it's all about the GOAT and this and that. It ain't for me. Maybe it's for other people, but it's not for me. I'll tell you the last time when I was into First Take, I was into First Take when Kellerman was there. I was a fan of Max Kellerman. I liked those conversations with Max Kellerman. I was a huge fan of Max Kellerman. Since Kellerman left, yeah, I really don't have. It's not for me, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be for me. What ESPN is going to do, they're going to try to go get the most clicks. That's part of their business model, right? You're going to, if you own a restaurant and this item is selling the most, and you know what you're going to keep doing? You're going to keep selling that item. That's just kind of the economics of how ESPN's model is going to be in any business out there. I get what he's saying about you talk about the Lakers too much. He's not wrong. You talk about the Knicks too much or the Celtics too much or Steph Curry and the Warriors too much. He's not wrong. But as long as those views are there, that's what they're going to do. That's the item that's selling. That's the item that when people come to the restaurant, they want that sandwich and they're going to keep selling that sandwich. And they're going to keep pushing for that sandwich. Let's keep listening to Charles on this.
So Oklahoma City got the MVP and they are on fire. Y'all are talking about who's in second place. That's the reason I get pissed. Hey, the Lakers are doing great. I don't mind being wrong. The Warriors are doing great. But that's because you fools on other networks, which we're going to become fools next year. We'll be working on that network. But Oklahoma City and the Cavs been balling for 6 months. Y'all talking about teams that had two great weeks.
Time out. I get what you're saying. You went at the whole network.
They talk about the same stuff.
Whole industry.
They talk about the same stuff every single day.
I would have to, but there's.
All right, let's stop it here for a quick second. Okay. This is the portion of, you also got to love Barkley for this. Charles Barkley is about to start working for ESPN because of this agreement that they have. TNT is still going to produce the show and everything else, but it's going to be on ESPN starting next year. Barkley is shooting shots at that network as if he has already worked for them for 10 years and doesn't like them or will never work for them. No, Charles Barkley is about to start working for ESPN next year. And look at the shots being fired. Kendrick Perkins, cool. Let me take a shot at him. The entire network, let me go ahead and take a shot at them. That's why you also love Charles Barkley. Is because if he's got something on his mind, he's going to say it. Whether you agree or you disagree with Charles Barkley, like what he say, I'm not whistling in a cemetery. I don't even know what the hell that means. But that's part of the reason why. Like I know a lot of Laker fans, they're not crazy about Charles Barkley because they feel like he's constantly disrespecting the Lakers. By the way, remember that rant that he had, and he said that JJ Redick is a dead man walking, and if you're going to come at the king, you better get him. And he went on that he's going to be just like Darvin Ham and Frank Vogel, and the Lakers front office doesn't know what they're doing and all that stuff. Listen, there was some truth to that at that time. I didn't know what JJ Redick was going to be in the league. Did you guys know what JJ Redick was going to be in the league? And if anybody here is going to sit here and tell me they thought JJ Redick was going to be a great coach, you're bullshitting yourself. You don't have any data to think he was going to be a great coach. I think with that in mind, I'll just say this clip is a perfect example of why I love listening to Charles Barkley. And there's also plenty of times that it's very frustrating listening to Charles Barkley. But Barkley went at everybody. He didn't mix his words or anything like that. He went out of his way to make sure to point out who he liked and who he didn't like and everything else that he said. There was a tweet that came from Kendrick Perkins last night after all this, which was kind of funny because I'm not really sure what Kendrick Perkins was trying to do. I was in my head, I'm like, Kendrick, you want to fight Charles? Like, you're ready to go against Barkley? Maybe those are fighting words. Here's what Kendrick said. Hey, NBA TNT, might want to tell that senior citizen Charles Barkley that I'll be around. When you see an idiot or fool in person, make sure he keeps that same energy. He can come playing with me if he wants, and I'm going to address his ass like the numbers on a house, straight from the 409 homeboy, and we bar none and fade all Texas boy. So I think they're going to fight. I think Kendrick Perkins' response basically was the equivalent of, hey, come meet me at the park, 3 o'clock after school, and it's going to be near the oak tree. Okay, I'll see you there at the oak tree. Okay, cool. You want me to bring anything? No, you're good. Bring a couple of friends. Just let's hype this thing up a little bit. Kendrick Perkins got some love yesterday. He got promoted yesterday. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here. Pretty damn funny. I mean, I got to be honest with you. I mean, you cannot tell me this is not entertaining. As somebody that does what I do, the whole time this was happening, when I started, I didn't see Barkley's rant live, but I saw it on Twitter. And I'm just all like, wait, what the hell's going on here? And the whole time I'm like, well, tomorrow's show's all set. What are we doing on Monday? Things like this are entertaining. And I genuinely don't know. I don't know if a lot of people just hate Charles Barkley on here. I'm not one of those guys. I think Barkley's wildly entertaining. Does he say some crazy things? Sure. But he speaks his mind. And there's no filter for Charles Barkley. And that's why he's been able to be as successful as he has. And by the way, Barkley was doing this when he was a player. So it's not like this just happened for television. No, Barkley's been doing this for 30 years now. Charles melted down live. It was so great. All right, let's see what we got. Perk versus Barkley. I mean, Charles hasn't even started. Literally has not started at ESPN yet. And it's like you just got accepted a job. All right, imagine you just applied for a job and you just got the job. They called you and they're like, hey, listen, you're going to start October of 2025. We just got to, our fiscal year starts in October. So we'll get you started October 2025. And you're like, okay, perfect. Hey, I'm looking forward, excited. And then you go on social media and you're like, look at this trash company. What are they doing? What a bunch of losers. And oh, by the way, how does the insurance work? Am I going through? Which insurance company am I going through? That man doesn't give a flying you-know-what. Barkley is wrong more than 50% of the time. Craig, you're looking at it wrong. That means 50% of the time he's right. It's all how you look at it. All right, let's get some more in here. Some people don't like the Barkley talk. All right, let's keep going here. That's what they pay him for. ESPN knows this crap is part of the deal. Yeah, but I Barkley's in his own territory. Barkley really, really is in completely his own territory. All right, let's get some more in here. Orbital Hub, new here. Your show rocks, man. Good broadcast. Thank you very much, brother. I appreciate it, and thank you for the super. Thank you very much for the super. All right, let's get another one in here. Some kind of wonderful. The Knicks figured something out defensively against Luka that could be a problem in playoff time. Reeves being rusty may have been a factor last night as well. Yeah, I kind of go back to this. Last night was not ideal for the Lakers. It just wasn't. Still found a way to win. Not ideal for the Lakers and still found a way to win. A game where I think a lot of people thought kind of coming in. I felt pretty good about the game. Like, all right, hey, let's see what it was. We saw last time Lakers played the Knicks. They did a good job on Cat. They did this without Luka, without Anthony Davis. they were good on Jalen Brunson too. Now, I'm talking about the last time they played the Knicks. But yesterday, Jalen Brunson was great. And, obviously, unfortunately, he got injured, but he was fantastic. Listen, teams are going to continue to make adjustments. It's not like these elite teams are not going to find different ways to try to slow down Luka or try to slow down LeBron or try to stop the role players. It's like, all right, if LeBron and Luka go off, we got to stop all these other guys. I think some of that's just going to come with the territory, but the Lakers have also done a great job of adjusting as well. They've adjusted as well. And in each predicament that's been thrown their way, I feel like they've been able to respond. Thank you again for the super, brother. I appreciate that very much. Okay. Want to give a quick shout out here. You guys know our partner here on the show. You guys know about Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Greatly appreciate him being a contributor to the show. Known Brad Wallace for about 5 years. Let me tell you guys a little bit about his business. Him and I worked together when I was at 710 ESPN. He was advertising on there too, and wanted to use me when I was at 710. And then here we are years later, also a part of the show on YouTube. So I'm very appreciative of him. This applies to anyone, by the way, in the state of California. I hope you never need him, but if you or someone you know was in a serious injury, you should reach out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Let him walk you or your family through your legal options. I'm sure it's a very intimidating and daunting process. Let an expert in the field help you. Of course, him and his team, they're absolute experts. Someone close to you seriously injured or is dealing with a loss of a loved one, you got to find out what legal options make sense. He gives out free consultations. I put on here a URL, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. wallacewins.com/Sliwa to get a free consultation. Or I'm happy to make an introduction. Again, life happens. I hope you guys never need Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm, but if you do, know that you have somebody that is a trusted resource, and know that you have somebody that's in complete support of a channel that I know a lot of people on here support as well. So shout out to Brad Wallace. Shout out to the Wallace firm. Thank you very much for their partnership, and greatly appreciate them being a part of the show. All right, let's keep things moving here. Let's see what comments we got here. Hit on a lot already today. 52 minutes. By the way, guys, I just want you guys to know this is all without coffee. Gave up coffee for Lent. I think I think there was a portion of me that was hallucinating without coffee. I think we're getting there. Wallace firm for Stephen A. Smith. They might have to represent him. They might have to represent him after yesterday. A sorry team doesn't go 20-4 in a 24-game span. Barkley sounds like a moron, which he is, but he is a clown. Got to remember that. I don't think he's a moron. I don't think he's a clown. I do think he finds ways to undersell the Lakers. But can we just be honest here for a quick second? There are a lot of people that were very critical about the Lakers up until this season, when the season started. So being critical on the Lakers is not anything new. But they've also gone on an incredible, ridiculous run where if you're not giving them credit today, you start losing some credibility. I've said this before. I've said that this kind of works both ways. I've talked about this just for the channel. If I came on here and just kissed the Lakers' ass after every game, even win, loss, whatever the case is, you know what would happen? The channel would lose credibility. And you guys would be like, yeah, this guy's not telling me the truth. Or if I was critical after every game, whether they won or lost, you'd be like, I don't want to listen to this guy. He's just always negative when he's talking about the Lakers. That's the same for a lot of these guys that, obviously are breaking down sports on. It could be on a local basis, it could be on a national basis. It doesn't matter. But your credibility is basically, are you being real at that moment, or are you writing a narrative that you already had before and you're not going to change it? All right, let's see some more comments here. Nobody's take. Luka beat SGA with Kyrie. He can't with LeBron. Long way to go before it's Lakers and long way to go before it's Lakers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Let's just say that. All right, let's talk a little bit about Lakers and the Celtics tomorrow. Lakers taking on the Boston Celtics. Let me throw this out to Laker fans here real quick, or anybody that's on the channel. What do you guys want to see tomorrow? I know the easy answer is I want to see the Lakers beat the Boston Celtics tomorrow. I understand that. But what do you want to see tomorrow? Tomorrow's going to be a very, very tough game. I saw on the injury report, Boston played Philly yesterday, and they rested a lot of their guys. I don't think they're going to be resting their guys tomorrow. I think they're going to be ready to go. Tatum, in the post-game interview, was talking about, ready to go. It's going to be an exciting game. Lakers and the Celtics. Some good history between the two teams. I mentioned this right out the gate. I talked about, here's the history with the Lakers and the Celtics. It's two historic franchises that obviously have a true rivalry. What's the history with LeBron and the Boston Celtics? The Celtics were trying to go through LeBron for so many years, whether he was in Miami or whether he was in Cleveland. Phenomenal history there. What's the history with Luka and the Boston Celtics? The history with Luka and the Boston Celtics is Luka was in the finals 8 months ago. He lost to the Boston Celtics. I mean, there's some phenomenal storylines between the two franchises and then individual players that have history together against those franchises. So I think for all those reasons, that's going to be fun. On top of it just being Lakers Celtics, there's other storylines that I think are part of individual players that are a part of this team. So I think that part's going to be incredibly fun. I know Joe Mazzulla and JJ Redick have some history together as well. They were, both of them, when Lakers played the Celtics in LA, both guys were really complimenting each other. I think there was a time that Boston was considering bringing JJ Redick on the staff. I know Joe Mazzulla was complimenting that JJ Redick wanted to be in the fight. And I think what he was saying there is JJ had a pretty cush job. Hey, I could just break down some NBA games. He clearly had one of the best seats on the ESPN broadcast. He had his very successful podcast going. And he's like, yeah, but I'd rather be in the fight than talking about the fight. And I think Joe Mazzulla showed a lot of respect for that. But I threw out the question of what you guys are hoping for tomorrow, what you guys are expecting tomorrow, what you guys want to see tomorrow. So let me look at some of those comments here. Going to be tired, tough overtime game, and cross-country flight. That's true. That's true. That part's true. Here's the good news for the Lakers. I think you're going to get up for a game against Boston, period. But you're right. Boston's going to be well-rested. They're going to be hanging out. They played yesterday in Boston. They don't got to travel anywhere. They're sleeping in their own bed. Yeah, that part's true. Now, the one thing to keep in mind, this is also the start of a 4-game road trip for the Lakers. I think I mentioned yesterday, I was wrong. I think I said Lakers have 5 back-to-backs left this year. They got 6. They got 6 back-to-backs left. So the schedule is going to be definitely a grind the rest of the way. Let me kind of set up what I'm hoping to see tomorrow, Lakers and the Celtics, and then I'll read some of your guys' comments from here. Here's what I'm hoping for tomorrow against Boston. I'm hoping for the hype is going to be there. People are going to be excited. Lakers have won 8 in a row. Boston's going to try to send a message. Lakers are going to try to send some type of a message as well and just kind of let everybody know, continue to let everybody know that they're here to stay and they can hang with everybody. My hope is that once the dust kind of settles and, you're past the first quarter, maybe now you're in the second quarter, something along those lines, we could just watch some basketball. And if the Lakers can get to the fourth quarter, and this is a couple possession game, okay, I'm in. No guarantee Lakers are going to beat the Celtics. Listen, they're a really good team as well. So let's not pretend like I still think right now, if you said, hey, who's the favorite to win the entire thing? Cleveland's having a great season. You told me they're in a 7-game set. I would still take Boston. So I think Boston, in a sense, I've heard some people talk about the Celtics and basically say something to the effect, they're just kind of going through the motions until they get to the playoffs. I want to see tomorrow night, I want to see that by the time you get to the fourth quarter, we got a game. This is back and forth. It's entertaining. Guys like Austin Reeves is having another one. Okay, let's get back into our playing form. Guys like Luka are taking the game a little bit more personal because he lost in the finals to them last year. Plus, obviously everything that He's getting a chance now to represent the Lakers against the Boston Celtics. I'm curious. I'm very, very curious. Porzingis, some of the size that the Celtics have, how does that affect the Lakers? The great, wing play that the Celtics have, the great guard play. How much is Drew Holiday and Derek White? What are they doing against some of the guards of the Lakers? Is Jaylen Brown guarding Luka, which he did a lot in the finals? Tomorrow's going to be awesome. All right, let me look because I saw a couple comments already that I liked. Boston versus the Lakers will be another barn burner like last night, or a blowout for either team. I think I'd be most surprised if Lakers blew out Boston. But let me just say this. They've already done that before. They've already gone on the road and blown out the Knicks and the Denver Nuggets. They've gone on the road and blown out the Clippers. So they've had some road games over this last 5-week stretch or so where they've just been phenomenal. So maybe that shouldn't be a surprise or a shock. John Wayne, thank you for the super here. If the Celtics play their entire starting lineup minus Holiday, the Lakers have no shot. 10 gifted memberships if I'm wrong. No excuses. Okay, John, we'll hold you to that tomorrow. It's going to be a tough game. Period. I mean, I think there's. By the way, I disagree with the Lakers have no shot. No, I mean, tell me a game that they've played over the last 5 weeks other than bad teams. Do you know the 4 games Lakers have lost in the last 5 weeks? Here's who they lost to, their opponents. Okay. The best team they lost to in that stretch was the Clippers. That's the best team that they've lost to. And the Clippers are not having, this tremendous season. But that's the best team they've lost to. They've lost to Philly, they lost to Utah, and they lost to Charlotte. Their losses have been to bad teams, not good teams. So the Lakers have no shot thing. I disagree with. John, I appreciate the super. Since 2018, the Lakers and Boston have split the season series except for 2022-2023 season, where 2022-2023 season where Boston won both. The Lakers aren't scared of Boston. No, you don't have guys like – you don't have a coach like J.J. Redick, guys like LeBron and Luka Doncic, and go down the lineup. You think Dorian Finney-Smith is scared of anybody? You think that part's not going to happen. You doing your morning show on a Saturday? No. I will not be. I will. Sammy will be doing a preview video, and we'll see. Maybe I don't know. Actually, 100%. Should I do a video on Saturday or Sunday? I know I'll do something, and I'll definitely be doing something specific for members as well, and then eventually I'll put that out to everybody else. Let me see which day makes more sense. Lance, when it's an ESPN or TNT game, I just watch the pregame on Spectrum and then switch over when the game starts. Yeah, a lot of people want their local feed, right? I don't think that's too much of a shock. All right, let's see what else we got here. Somebody here mentioning having a healthy Rui. It's kind of crazy with that, to be honest with you. Been some times I forgot Rui was even out. And that's not even me trying to be disrespectful or anything. There's just times I forgot Rui was out. When your team is playing really well, it's easy to forget who's not playing. When your team is really struggling, it's like a flashlight of like, that guy's out, that guy's out, that guy's out. So I think that has a lot to do with it as well. All right. I got a couple things I want to get into here for the weekend preview, and then we're gonna call it a day. Good week this week. A lot going on this week. So I appreciate you guys all being a part of the show. I saw this, and because I put it in the notes, I'm going to just mention it here real quick. Okay. Real quick. And then I got some NBA games I want to get into. I got one thing on Major League Baseball. I'll read a few more comments and we'll call it a day. By the way, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to put this here in the chat as well. If you guys want to be an MVP member, here's a link to it. $3 a month if you guys want to support the channel. And I appreciate everybody that's already joined. And if you haven't joined, that's okay too. But if you want to be a member, $3 a month, and there's a link in the chat. I don't know if you guys saw this. Pat Beverly says the Laker players weren't interested in hearing Darvin Ham's motivational speeches. He says, as a coach, that shit don't work. Mother effers ain't here for no motivation. What's the X's and O's? I'm not here to try to pile on Darvin Ham. That's not the point. But when somebody mentions, we're seeing him less and less now. I think a lot less people are talking about Darvin Ham. Maybe occasionally that comes up, or maybe people will say something to the effect of like, oh my gosh, JJ Redick is so much better, this, that, whatever the case is. I think when you lose players, if you're trying to raw players and you can't back it up with substance or you can't back it up with a strategy, that's a tough putt. I guess I shouldn't be shocked that Pat Bev went public on this. But that's one thing that I always kind of think of. I always think back of, okay, why did Darvin Ham lose his job with the Lakers? He lost his job in game 2 when the Lakers went up 18, 20 points against Denver on the road. And Denver comes all the way back. And Anthony Davis says publicly, yeah, there are times we don't know what we're doing on both sides of the floor. That's a direct shot at Darvin Ham and the coaching staff. I think it's interesting here. Pat Bev mentions as a coach, these pep talks, these motivation talks, we don't care. Give us the X's and O's. How are we going to beat them? You're supposed to be the smartest guy in the huddle. Tell us how we're going to win this game. Don't give me a rah-rah speech. Rah-rah speeches might work, and I think probably sometimes they do, but they need you got to make sure that the players also believe that the guy leading the team knows exactly what he's doing, knows exactly what he's talking about, and that's why the team is having the type of success that they're having. Okay, let me look at a couple comments here. I just want to see a couple of these comments, and then we'll continue with the weekend preview. Ham never admitted being wrong. Bad look for a coach. Okay. He was out of this league in terms of tactics. Disagree. Ham was out way before that. He lost the locker room in January, and we all knew it by how they played. Yeah, but they ended the season strong again. And then there was a little bit of hope of, hey, wait a minute. They did this last year. Remember last year when the Lakers ran all the way out to the Western Conference Finals? And listen, we could easily make the cases like that just came down to matchups. But whether you liked it or not, the question was going to be, is this sustainable? Is this what the Lakers are going to have moving forward with this coach? And the answer was no. They decided that he was not going to be the right coach. Let's see what we got here. Ham's defend without fouling scheme is soft, no physicality, concedes buckets. Starting lineup was a problem. There was a lot of problems there. Okay, a couple things we got going here for the weekend preview. In the NBA, a couple games to keep an eye out for tonight. If you're still rooting for the Grizzlies to continue losing, to kind of get a little bit of cushion, Grizzlies are at the Dallas Mavericks tonight. Don't feel good about that one. We know where Dallas is going. Suns are at the Nuggets, so Lakers can use another L from the Nuggets. We'll see what happens there. Knicks are taking on the Clippers, second of a back-to-back. I don't know if there's any news on how long Jalen Brunson's going to be out for, but feel bad for that guy. Over the weekend, Saturday, you got Lakers and the Celtics. That's obviously the big game. Kind of a sneaky good game. 5:30, Chase Center, San Francisco. Pistons at the Warriors. I like the way the Pistons have been playing this year, so that should be a good game as well. And then maybe Lakers can get some help over the weekend on Sunday. Nuggets at the Thunder. looking for a Thunder W there. Something to keep in mind. And then there really isn't. Kings play the Clippers, Grizzlies against the Pelicans, Suns against the Mavericks, but a lot of those teams are not really doing much at this point. Last thing I want to get into here real quick, just something to keep in mind. There was an article yesterday I saw on ESPN. Dave Roberts and the Los Angeles Dodgers are closing in on a long-term extension. Sources confirmed to ESPN on Thursday. I'm going to try to give a little bit of the deal. They were talking about Craig Counsell, who signed a 5-year, $40 million deal. He left the Brewers to go to the Chicago Cubs. That Roberts' new deal has been widely expected throughout the industry to top Counsell's in either total value or average annual value, if not both, through terms of his new potential deal, though terms of his new potential deal are not yet known. Is it kind of funny with Dave Roberts? This guy was a punching bag for years for not winning the big one and really not getting, and I think a lot of people feel this way as well. Even though the Dodgers won a World Series in the COVID year, they just had too good of a roster, too high of a payroll, too many good players, too much success over the course of 12, 13 years since the Guggenheim Group took over to not have won a 162-game World Series. And then it looked like in the playoffs that there might be a shot here that if the Dodgers were not able to come back 2-1 against the Padres, if they were not able to come back 2-1 against the Padres, then you know what? Maybe the Dodgers are just going to try something different. They're going to go with a new manager. And then obviously we know what happened. They come back against the Padres. They handle business against the Mets. They beat the Yankees in 5 games, and he wins a World Series. And he should get a lot of credit for it. Now, a lot of people would tell you, a lot of what happens with the Dodgers, the manager isn't even making any of the decisions. It's all coming from the front office. Everything's already scripted, which, by the way, I don't disagree with that. But I did feel like this World Series run for the Dodgers, I did feel like it was less scripted. I did feel like there was a little bit more, do I keep Walker Buehler in the game or do I just take him out because the data would tell me to take him out? The analytics would tell me to take him out. Nope, forget it. Keep him in. Blake Trinan threw this many pitches. I'm going to take him out. Nope, keep him in. I did feel like the Dodgers, there was a little bit of an adjustment for them to say, well, let's also let's go with a little bit of a hunch here. Let's go with a little bit of a gut feeling, not just a sheet of paper. And clearly it played to their benefit. So Dave Roberts went from probably 1 game away from all the questions and the criticism starting of does this guy get, canned? Is he out 3 years in a row in the NLDS? To he's going to become the highest paid manager in all of Major League Baseball. And you can't really argue with it, to be honest with you. I mean, the team obviously they set up a phenomenal team around him, but okay, are you getting results? He's clearly getting results on top of that as well. Weekend preview is presented, of course, by the Wallace firm. Need legal help for a serious injury? The Wallace firm are proven trial lawyers. Go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa to learn more. Again, that's wallacewins.com/Sliwa to learn more. All right, let's get a couple more comments in, and then we're going to call it a weekend here. We'll call it a week because we'll be back tomorrow. Let's see what people got here. Players love them. Japanese roots are paying off. Let's see what we got here. See what else we got here. Let's see what else we got here. Dodgers winning their 3rd World Series this decade. Oh, they'll be clear, heavy favorites. No question about it. They will be the clear favorites. Okay, my people, I think that's all we got. I appreciate everybody hanging out. I appreciate everybody. If you were on last night, thank you for being here. If you're on again tonight, thank you for being here. We got a lot of love from a lot of people here, and I appreciate that. Shout out to our new members. Stark just became a new member. Thank you very much for being a member of the show. Really, really appreciate that. And I really appreciate everybody hanging out. Hope you guys have a great Friday. A preview video coming tonight from Sammy. I'll be back on tomorrow talking Lakers and Celtics postgame. Thank you, everybody. Keep an eye out if you are a new member, or if you are a member. I will have another video coming out this weekend. And also something I forgot to mention, I found the video and I clipped it up and everything else, and I put it up, the Luka trade live. So I know a lot of people have told me, hey, there's a clip out there. It's the Locked On Nuggets. That it was live when it was going on. I found my clip. I put it on, and a lot of people had comments and thoughts on it already. But if you want to see that, it's my basically disbelief of like, this isn't real for 7-8 minutes until it finally became real. So that's on there as well. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your Friday.